Good day, gentlemen. This is a pre-recorded briefing made prior to your departure, in which for security reasons of the highest importance has been known on board during the mission. Now that you are in Jupiter's space and the entire crew is revived, it can be told you. 18 months ago, the first evidence of intelligent life off the Earth was discovered. It was buried 40 feet below the lunar surface, near the crater Patron. Except for a single, very powerful radio emission aimed at Jupiter, the 4-million-year-old black monolith has remained completely inert. Its origin and purpose still a total mystery.
Said they killed a bear barehanded so the people won't forget it. Getting money for our legal to drink. I care what a broke nigga think.
Just like the pack of Lewis.
Look, everything I do so cold. I can do this, both eyes closed. Too short, I stay on my toes. About that guap boy, anything goes. Help the bear if we outside. Help the bear if we outside. Still tipping, baby, nothing changed. I'm still grinding over here, yeah. Still sliding through my own lane. Shorty, nothing funny over here. Dollars rain everywhere around me. Dream to get money. Made it through the storm, living sunny. Dreams came true, now we eating. I got more dreams to chase, gotta reach them. Trying to put a team together like the Hunger Games. Everybody grinding because we all came from hunger pain.
That's right. Late Ill Kid at OneYoungsta, hold it down, bring that street geek and nerd soul. What is up, my people? Today, coming with another wonderful episode of That's Right. You best believe it. I'm not telling you no lies. We're here for specials and lounging. Like, you know, it's been a while. We don't usually do lounging no more because schedules is crazy. But I do have someone here. You've seen the title and everything that could talk to us about some really dope stuff that I think is super important. Right over here, I give to you Redstone Firearms' own. Jonathan, what's your last name?
Solomon, Solomon.
Jonathan Solomon, right over here. Say what's up.
What's up, y'all? How you guys doing? Appreciate you for having us on, having Redstone on. And we're going to answer whatever questions you got so we can tell the people the right information.
Yes, definitely. Now, to give people an idea of what you do, let them know like what Redstone Firearms is, what you do there, what Redstone does.
Absolutely. So Redstone Firearms, we're a full service FFL, which is Federal Firearms License Dealer, but we also do education. That's what is huge, important. Everything that we need to teach you is the educational aspect of what we do. That was a brainchild of my wife, was incorporating education into what we do, basically. When it comes down to it, the communication between the gun store and the customer usually falls apart the moment the customer walks out the door. But what we try to do is we try to educate while you're there, and we communicate as much education as we can to you before you leave our store, because at the end of the day, you not knowing what to do is not going to help you just because you have a firearm. We want to make sure you're educated and trained with that firearm. And that's part of our model: consult, educate, and train.
Yeah, and I will say, as someone who I think, you guys are the first person I've ever purchased from. And before, when I first like was introduced to guns at all, I was essentially, kind of like indifferent to guns. Like I
Sure.
didn't I didn't like them, didn't hate them. It was just like they were there. And my dad drives used to drive cross country in 18-wheeler, but so he always had two, something like, so he always had some, but I just was like whatever. And of course, over the past 5 or so years, I've been like, maybe
You need to get one.
So when I came into the store, it was a cool, relaxed. I didn't seem rushed or kind of like pushed around in any way. Because I did call. I called a store in my area, and they were very like, "Look, what do you want? They told me to come into the store. I had to put down a deposit to come into the store.
What?
Yeah, it was interesting, but I felt like very rushed off and didn't care. But then when I came to Redstone, it was more of a like relaxed vibe, and like you said, like
Right.
teaching you about the different guns, what they do, how to take them apart, and stuff like that. All of that was just more, I don't know, approachable, I guess you could say. So that was something that's why I came back and of course purchased again, because I was like, hey,
Right.
I like this place. So yeah, like you said, the whole, the vibe, especially the education part, you guys take time, the whole staff takes time to say, oh, okay, cool, what are you looking for? All right, we have something like this, we have something like that. And so it definitely comes across, and it makes people feel welcome instead of like just like, hey, give me your money and get out of here.
Right. Right. And that's the one thing that we don't want. We want to make sure that we answer as many questions, concerns that you have, so you leave there with the proper knowledge. Sorry, my camera thing keeps falling on me here. So I'm just gonna hold it. So yeah, that's one of the things that we want to make sure that we do, because in our community, as you know, unfortunately, we tend to get the short end of the stick on a lot of things, and education is one of them. So if we can educate you as much as we can while you're in the store, we feel better knowing that when you leave the store, that you're going to have the basic knowledge that you need to protect you and your family.
Nice. So with all of that out the way, you guys know, of course. Oh yeah, and where are you guys located? I forgot. That's a good question.
We're at in Burbank, California, 916 West Burbank Boulevard. We're on the second floor. We are preparing to build a larger training facility in Burbank, so we have more access to space to train more people, to educate more people, and get people what they need, which is the time and space to learn about their firearms before they walk out the door with them.
Nice. And I will say, they from cleaning or building, or I get all kinds of emails, and also their Instagram has tons of information that they'll give you in like small bites. So I honestly love it. Now, I haven't been able to participate in ways that I want to, but still, it's just great seeing our people in a situation where they don't have to feel like they're not allowed or they're not welcome, to be able to like come and learn, come and practice and all of that without that level of stress. So I wanted to talk about, I guess, self-defense, because that's one of the, I guess I'll start off with self-defense. That's the main reason I decided to pick up my first gun, which was, for me, I was like, you know what? It's bad enough we have police violence. And this, of course, guys, look, we're talking about Redstone. This is just me, this ain't Redstone. I'm not here to go down that rabbit hole. I'm just telling you why. Like, look, we got all this police violence, but now civilian violence starting to act crazy too. All right.
Right.
Like they starting to like, look, the civilian violence was already like there, but now like they got a battery in their back. And we all know why they got a battery in their back. We ain't no reason for us to go down that road, but they got a battery now. So I'm like, you know what? Look, as a father and a husband, you know, hey, somebody, you know, you come home and somebody at your house or someone kicking your door, it might be better than say, hey, please stop.
Right.
But if you could talk to us about California self-defense, especially with the new changes that we've had with the ruling coming down from New York, basically.
Yeah. So the right to self-defense has always existed. It's just a matter of how that right to self-defense was applied when you use self-defense. And that's one of the big things. Like, for instance, with the Supreme Court ruling from the New York Rifle and Pistol Association, the Supreme Court finally stepped in and said, look, guys, enough is enough. If you can legally possess and purchase a firearm, you don't need to jump through any more flaming hoops with your hair on fire backwards to be able to protect yourself or your family outside of the home. Hence the reason why we're seeing more concealed carry now, because those law enforcement officers like Sheriff Villanueva, the Sheriff of Riverside, the Sheriff of Ventura, the Sheriff of Orange County, they have seen a long time ago the need for concealed carry outside of the home. And that has now finally been seen on a national stage where you as a civilian can have the same rights and protections as someone else when you leave the home, so you're not accosted, killed, robbed, kidnapped, whatever. So that's one of the big differences with what it was even 3 months ago to now.
True.
When it comes to self-defense. And when we talk about the need for self-defense outside of the home, the crime has skyrocketed, especially here in LA. It is just through the roof. As you may or may not know, we lost a good friend of ours about 3 weeks ago. He was shot and killed 8 times. He was shot 8 times and killed in Los Angeles. Yeah, appreciate it. And that is just only one of the many stories we hear when you come into Redstone. We've had people robbed. We've had people shot at, home invasions, the whole nine. It has just gone through the roof. So the self-defense is so important when it comes to our folks being able to protect themselves and their family.
Yeah, I've been seeing, of course, more and more home invasions. You've shared some on Instagram, and we see, you know, there was a story. I don't want to mess it up. I think it was in Chicago or around Chicago, because I watch like local news around the nation. The good thing is that with YouTube, you can do that. You can just subscribe to that news channel's YouTube. But the story was quick, but someone tried to carjack an old man. And they said both of them got shot, but the guy that went to carjack the old man is in the hospital. And I was like, look, I know even my father says, look, I keep mine because I ain't got time to roll around with y'all. You know what I'm saying? Right. I'm sure that old man said, look, I ain't got.
We're not gonna do this today.
And you ain't, I ain't got. This is my only car. All right, and you ain't gonna take my only car.
Exactly.
But you know, this stuff is just happening on regular days. They had another story, Seattle, where there was a guy. They went and they carjacked an Uber driver, then carjacked another car from the, like, they were like, I guess they were like, this car ain't good enough. And then,
right.
So this stuff is, it seems like it's becoming a little more either desperate or more bold or whatever it might be. And depending on your area, and since we're talking about California, sort of LA metro-ish area,
right.
At least in my area, the element of people that are, whatever you want to call it, homeless, unhomed, or unhoused, or whatever, you know, it's getting dicey. Like for real, it is. And not to put that on all homeless people. But even outside my building, after like 10, 12 o'clock, all you hear is like yelling and fighting. So
Right.
you know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, what you supposed to do? Especially when people will roll up on your car normally. Like anywhere in
Right.
LA. It could be day or night. So I see the reason where it's like, yeah, people do have to be able to protect themselves, because even if you were to call the police right then, you're talking about, I don't know, 5-10 minute wait, something like that. The issue's over by then.
Well, I'm gonna say this: based on where you live, if you live in LAPD's jurisdiction, you're looking at a 12 to 17 minute response time.
Wow. So yeah, the issue's over by then.
The issue's over, stopped, overdone. You've gone back to bed the whole night, and then they come knocking on the door. So yeah, it's sad. It is absolutely sad as to how things are going right now. And you know, you got to get creative sometimes. Where we live, we have a cul-de-sac behind us. So people for a while thought that was okay to jump our back fence and cut through. So what I did is I took glass bottles and I encapsulated them in the ground. So when they brought their asses over that fence, they were falling on those glass bottles. Well, needless to say, they stopped bringing their asses over that fence.
That was probably, it was probably done with that fence. They was done with that.
Yeah, right.
And it's different. It's weird because I don't want to be that old guy. You know, it's like, because I just turned 40, so I'm an OG now. You know what I'm saying? I just, so I don't want to be that old guy. But like when I was younger, you could like ride bikes. You know, you like go through the yards and go to the basketball court or something. It wasn't like a big deal because you were kids. But now, like, yo, man, kids ain't
don't bring your butt over that fence, man. Yeah,
kids ain't playing
Those
no
are the
more,
main
man.
ones. Those are the main ones that are causing the problems.
Yo, kids ain't playing in these streets. And like even news, I'm from Richmond, Virginia. So even when I watch news from there, this year alone, we're talking about like, I think 4 or 5 stories of kids that didn't graduate this year because they were shot. And 2 of them that I know were from kids that at least other kids that were there said they were trying to break up the situation. So now you ain't even the person that's doing it. You're trying to bring peace and you did. You know what I'm saying? So
and that's the crazy thing. Our youth clearly did not pay attention to the generation before them, because if they did, they wouldn't be doing the things they're doing. So, you know, a little bit of backstory on me. I worked Inglewood School Police while Inglewood School Police was around. And we had two young ladies, man, very, very, very intelligent young ladies. They were 10th grade. Going into their 11th grade year, I told them, I said, look, y'all, the boys that you're hanging out with, you better stop. They're going to get you caught up. Those dudes are bad news. Do you know, going into their 11th grade year, the district attorney's investigators came and questioned me and asked me, you know, some information on those kids. Okay. They had spent the entire summer robbing, home invasion robberies throughout the LA Inglewood area. The girls didn't have any idea, but because the girls were old enough to drive, they were driving these dumb boys around. Let's just say the last 2 home invasions ended up with 2 people murdered. All of those kids are now serving life sentences. Yeah. They were arrested in their 11th grade year. Their lives are gone.
Yeah, I will say my father, I called my father and I was like, Dad, you were right. And he was like, what? And because I moved out here basically following career path and everything. And I was sitting down like shortly after I moved here, and I was like, started thinking, all them boys that my dad told me not to mess with, stop, they're either, honestly, dead, long dead, and they weren't dead because they like, you know, were old age and like died with the family around them and they're sleeping, it was sweet. No, they're dead because they were shot. They're in jail or they're in some dead end job. And I called my dad, I was like, Dad, you were right. But I also had to be like 28 to because when you're 16, Dad don't know nothing. Dad don't know nothing. You don't know nothing. Right. You just don't want me to be cool.
Right. Yeah. My oldest daughter's going through that right now. So
And
Dad don't
I
know
call,
jack squat.
yeah, and I was like, I had to tell him like, hey, you were right, because I'm looking at my path now and seeing where their path is or had ended, and yeah, and that,
You're in a much better place.
yes, I'm in a much better place. And tying that back to self-defense is like trying to put yourself in a good position, or having someone give you the information to put you in a good position. And with that information that you guys like give, and also being in a position where you can defend yourself. Like I said,
Right.
It's better than saying like, hey, please stop. And not
Right.
saying that I think you should be pulling on everybody. No. But sometimes that might be the only thing you got. And
that's
it's
the
better to
education
have it.
portion. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it seems like, what do I need this for? I don't need, and it's like, no, it's essentially a tool, and you don't really need it, but all the time. But when you
Right.
need it,
You're glad to have it.
need it. And because yes, we do have a lot of laws, and I want to get into that with the California gun laws. We do have a lot of laws, especially in this state, that are restrictive. I'll say that.
Right.
And
Right.
the thing is, I understand the idea of making the laws and trying, but like many people say, that I've seen in other cities, other states, it's like, well, the people that are breaking the laws aren't going to follow them anyway. So
Pretty much. They
you're
don't go check the
basically-
laws before they go do a crime.
They're like, you know what? I would
Yeah,
rob
that's
this.
no.
I would rob this store, but just
Yeah,
can't
not
do it.
today. Yeah, man. Let's think about it. Let's go rob somebody else, because this store is gonna give us more time than the other one.
Yeah, well,
No, criminals don't do that.
Was it you? I think it was Redstone that put up that video where the guy called in. He was like, "Hey, someone's gonna rob me." He was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's okay."
Yeah. No, somebody was breaking into his house, and he's like, "Well, that's against the law." And he's like, "Well, he's doing it." Yeah, but
He's
it's
still
against the
doing
law.
He's like, "Don't worry about it. It's against the law. Put him on
It's
speaker."
against the law. You're okay. You're okay.
So, we do have a lot of those laws that are restrictive. What are some ones that stand out to you, or some ones that might be coming down the pike that you see coming? Because of course, you and other gun store owners get a lot more information than we do, beforehand.
So I'm going to say this. A lot of that information, my wife and I, we sit, we scour, we read, we research to figure that stuff out, because the state is very, very bad at disseminating that information out. It's like, hey, new law's coming. It's like, okay, but what is the new law? There's like
When is
zero
it
explanation.
coming?
So I had to, right, nothing. So some of the stuff that's coming down the pike right now that I am so disappointed in when it comes to the state is that Governor Newsom is signing in to effect basically places that you cannot carry your concealed weapon. Places that, in my opinion, you absolutely should be able to carry a concealed weapon. For instance, a park. You won't be able to carry your weapon on or near a park. You won't be able to carry your weapon in or near a grocery store, in or near a movie theater. These are all the places that are soft targets for those criminals. These are the places where you need to be carrying your weapon.
And okay, all right, because I get it. The mentality, I get it. Like, hey, people get shot in the park. Tell people they can't have a gun in the park. Got you. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, the people that shoot people at the park, they ain't listening to the law, man.
They don't care. They're the ones that are walking around without permits. They're the ones that are buying the guns in the back of a swap meet. They're not the ones that go through the legal process. So all that's going to do is cause law-abiding citizens to now be part of the criminal element. Yeah, either knowingly or not knowingly. Because if you don't know that law and you walk by a park, guess what?
Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure there's something in the law like within, 500 feet of a park. And if you get pulled over by the park, they'll be like, oh, well, we can add this on because
1,000 feet of a park.
It's like, but I was driving. I wasn't driving to the park. They'd be like, we don't care.
1,000 feet. If you want to know, it's 1,000 feet. And a medical facility is 100 feet and the sidewalk surrounding it.
And the funny thing is, you think, especially after I cannot remember the name, and apologies to those that were lost at the grocery store. I cannot remember the name. It was in Buffalo.
In New Jersey, yeah.
Oh, sorry, in New Jersey.
New York.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
Buffalo,
New York.
I think.
It was in
Yeah.
Buffalo, I believe. But I might be wrong. You guys will let me know in the chat. But after that, I thought, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I thought this is a great argument to be like, hey man, look, we should all be able to carry. Like, hey, look, I know, I get it, I understand where y'all trying to come from, but with this, hey, we should be able to carry. This is because you
that is a
get
great
Cheerios
reason.
now.
Yeah, you know, your grandmother, your grandfather, your brother, your sister can't go to the store without fear of being shot down, but you won't even allow them to even have a chance to fight back.
Yeah. And
Lady Lisa, that's bad.
Lady Lisa comes in and says, these are all places where mass shootings happen or have occurred. And I would say some individual near them could have gotten a shot off and stopped so many others from being killed / injured, which I'm pretty sure they could. Like if people could rent, because when I go back to VA, it's just normal. You see people got it on the hip. Like it is way different than here. But
yeah, absolutely.
At the same time in VA, you know, the laws are different and you don't see that kind of stuff happening as much because there's more people carrying. And it's a situation where it's kind of open because you can just have it on the hip. It's fully visible. It's like, you know, and people know like, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't, you know, let me chill. And shouts to the sisters. Those places carrying too. So shouts to y'all.
Are soft targets. That's what we call those. Those are soft targets where you can go in and inflict maximum damage without reprisal. It's going to take law enforcement generally 5 to 8 minutes to respond to an active shooter situation. I know this because I teach it. I teach this class. Okay. And 5 to 7 minutes, 5 to 8 minutes, 5 to 9 minutes, that's a long time.
It's a very long
time for you to be involved in a situation where you are defenseless. Those soft targets are the main places where you need to be able to carry your weapon, because just one person with a weapon versus another person with a weapon can distract that person long enough for them not to continue to shoot people who are unarmed and are basically in hiding.
Because at least you have sort of like a stalemate or a standoff situation where that can like kill time, give, you know, police time to arrive or whatever.
That's the name of the game. That is the name of the game.
So yeah, the laws that I've seen coming around, you know, around the nation in different places, Florida, you know, Illinois or whatever, even in Texas, it's not that I don't get the thought process. I get it. Like even in Atlanta, the video that went viral about the young lady being arrested for being in the park, they were like, hey, we've had 3 murders in the park just this summer after dark or after closing or whatever. Like we can't play around here. So I get it, because I'm like, hey, look, I mean, people get shot at the park, man. Don't let people have guns at the park. But those people ain't listening to the laws. They're not following them. And I'm not saying you should put up a banner and be like, hey, everybody bring your guns today. But there has to be some kind of middle ground where it's like, hey man, we know y'all got to protect yourselves. So, you know, maybe like.
So you want to hear something funny? You want to hear something funny to your statement that you just said about putting the banner up? That's actually written into this new law where it says you have to put a sign up saying that you're okay with the person or persons carrying firearms in whatever location it is. That is actually written in the law. It's funny that you say that. That literally has to be done. You have to put a sign up saying concealed carry is authorized in this location now. So please explain to me that logic.
Okay, well, because see, then you have. All right, well, I guess from the outset, because I try to be fair. From the outset, I guess it's like a private business. you can say as a private business, you can decide, like no shoes, no shirt, no service. So
Sure.
I guess I get that. But where does that come into contact with like state and federal law, where it's like, well, hey man, what if I'm up in here and someone go crazy and I'm like, oh, I had to leave mine at the car. Like, hold on, sir, can I go to my car real quick?
Right.
I'd like
So
to
it's
rebut
going to take
what you're
one
doing.
person. It's going to take one person to sue for that, and then they were like, oh, well, you know what? Maybe that wasn't a good idea. You think?
And when it's funny because when I came to your store, the first time I came to the store, and like I said, there's been guns in my house my whole life, but I mean, I just
right.
I didn't love them, didn't hate them. They were just there. And when I came to your store and I started learning, whenever you find anyone who, whenever you find and buy your first gun, you're going to realize that maybe things that you heard aren't all, because there's this idea that like people just getting guns and just chilling. Like you just, like you could just roll and be like, yo, give me that gun. And you're like, here you go, thanks, take it easy.
Right.
It is not. You got to go through checks, and they got to send it off to like the FBI, CIA, or something. And they got to be like, oh, this person's cool. And then they send an email back, and they say, all right, he can have it. And then you say thank you, and then you can finally buy the gun. You don't just go. It's not bubble gum. It's not. You're not buying a laptop. You actually have to go through. Like no one can go through checks, except I do think, since I'm from Virginia, and I know I can't say for these gun shows. I'm not sure because I've never been to one. But at least from a gun store perspective, yeah, like you gotta fill out forms and like sign your name and put your thumbprint down. It's not
right.
This idea that people
are
just willy-nilly buying guns. It's
a total process. It's a total process. And California is one of the states that we do some of the most checks. Like we check for child support, we check for back tickets, we check for DMV. We check for mental health. We check for outstanding tax or IRS issues. We check for legal issues. Yeah, exactly. We check for California.
The IRS stop you from everything, boy.
Everything, man. You owe too much money. They run me my money before you come get this gun.
You should be paying me instead of buying
right. So we check on the federal level. We check on the state level, the local level. So the whole notion that you can walk in and just buy a gun and you're out the door in 15 minutes is not true for California at all. It takes you 15 minutes to read the paperwork.
Yeah, and I've called around to some friends in other states. Even in Texas, they're like, no, you can't just get a gun. Like they still have to do a check on you. So, but a lot of times in the news, you say, hey, we need background checks, and it's like, there are background checks, and then it makes you wonder.
Already have them.
I don't know if they've ever bought a gun before.
That's the key right there. They've never even started or tried the process. We had a news agency, I won't name them, come in and walk us through this process, because the way that we're told that you can just pretty much walk up to a vending machine and buy a gun. And I looked at them like they were crazy out of their damn minds. I said, okay, cool. You want to do this? Let me have your ID. My ID? Yeah, because you got to sit down. You got to take this 30-question test. There's a test? Yeah, you didn't. The vending machine doesn't have the test, but we do. So they after the end of that day, they were just like, oh, well, we didn't know. Well, you didn't ask. You just assumed that's what it was beforehand.
Mm-hmm. And it's something that I don't know. Because I will say this, since I'm from the South, I'm about to reference something. When you go down this like, hey, it's hard to get guns. It's not that easy. You guys aren't representing it right. You can easily fall into this portal on the internet where it's like, states aren't free. You know what I'm saying? And you keep going, you're going to get to the South will rise again. You're going to get to that side. Trust me. And I know them. I grew up in the, I know. So it goes there. But at times they be having points when it comes to guns. When it comes to guns, they be having points. Because when I came to the store, I was like, dang, you got to do this too? I was like, okay, I got to do this too? Okay. You need a thumbprint? All right, well, You already got my idea. All right, well, I gotta feel it's the idea that, like he said, like the news organization said, like, oh, it's like a vending machine. No, not even Texas. Talk to my peoples in Texas. They're like, no, you fill out a form, they gotta fax it or something or send it, and then you get it back. Now, they don't have to wait. I don't think they have to wait the 10 days that we have to wait here, but they still
No,
have
they
to.
don't.
They have to check, to make sure you ain't crazy, or at least
Yeah, there's a
it's not as
system
crazy
called
as they think.
NICS. Yeah, they use a system called NICS, National Instant Criminal Check Systems.
Mm-hmm.
So what they do is they take your thumbprint, your fingerprints, they run it through the FBI, the federal DOJ, and all of those good guys, right? Once those agencies, generally it's about 15 to 20 minutes for them to run an instant check. It'll send either an approval, meaning you can pick up your firearm right there and you're out the door, a delay, which means they have up to 5 days, I believe, to actually check your background more thoroughly, and then a denial, flat out denial. So it's not like you just walk in, okay, give me that gun, and 2 seconds later you're out the door. It doesn't work that way. In none of the states that have actual gun stores, you can't just walk in and just leave.
Nah. And I want to give a shout out to Cheryl B saying Maryland is the same way, talking about like the checks and all of the, the stringent process. And shouts to Danik, I believe, saying Redstone Firearms for the win, of course. Best shop in LA. Yes. Especially
Appreciate
at least the 3 that I've interacted with. Yes. Now, I mean, of course, I live kind of far from y'all. So it is 405 is not fun for anybody. But I do love being in you guys' store because I never feel like I'm not allowed or not, not wanted or something like that.
Right.
I did want to talk about any things on your mind as far as self-protection, I guess for a Californian, I guess LA County standpoint, that people can do to either train up, to learn, to be informed, say if they already have a firearm or some firearms already.
So there's a couple of things that you need to do because this is very important. When you get a firearm, you not only need to train with that firearm, you need to basically sit down, and I hate to use this term, but you need to play with your firearm. You need to learn your firearm. You need to know what it feels like when it's empty, when it's half loaded, when it's got a full magazine in it. Those things are creating muscle memory, okay? Because in the middle of the night, if you hear something and you're not awake fully, your muscle memory will kick in, and guess what? You know what to do, but you're not going to get to that point unless you train. We offer a ton of different training options, training solutions for home, training solutions at their range. It all comes down to education and training. If you're not educated on what you're doing, you're going to do it wrong. You're going to have a problem if you do it wrong. That's one of the things that we push is the education and the training, because that is key to having a legal justification for self-defense that will hold up in court, where you're not going to spend time behind bars. One of the other things that we need to know, everybody should understand and know, is that we're a master partner with USCCA. USCCA is the United States Concealed Carry Association. Okay, they are there for you if you get into a legal means of self-defense, not just with a weapon. I mean, if you need to use your car, if you need to use a frying pan, a hot grease pan, grits, whatever it is to protect yourself, they not only protect you financially, they protect you legally with attorneys, they protect you when it comes to your mental health. And what I mean by that is they offer you $10,000 towards counseling, towards mental health counseling, towards the fixing or cleaning up of your home after a self-defense situation. We have been a partner with them for almost 5 years now. And I would tell you there are stories that we have heard from our customers who have gotten USCCA through us because we offer a discount on it, where they're, hey, I had a self-defense situation. I unfortunately had to shoot and kill this person because they broke into my house and they tried to rape me or rape my daughter. And And USCCA has been there for them. They've come in, they help with the cleanup after the fact. They help with your legal fees. They help with your bond. They help with all of these things because it's built into your membership. And in addition to that, guess what? They have training, all the training. It comes back full circle. We are, again, master partners with them. We offer, as of last week, 42 different training classes for the community, which you will get a certification showing that you've taken these classes and you passed these classes, which goes towards your good self-defense claim. When you have an issue, guess what? DA is going to say, hey, well, when's the last time you trained? You know, you use your weapon. When's the well, guess what? Look, I just took a training class here. I got my certificate in self-defense or home defense or women's carry, whatever it may be. It goes towards your legal protection.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Because in those situations, you know, you might not have the time you think you have. And yeah, I will give you that. The muscle memory does come into play. And I have, like, for me, I have 2 firearms. And I'll be honest, I have practiced and trained with one a lot more than the other, simply because I think I like the way one comes apart better, but then the other one, I like the way it feels in the hand better. So, so when I'm training with one, as far as like taking it apart, unloading, loading, you know, like feeling how it is empty and loaded and stuff like that, I usually train with one more than the other. So I honestly do need to, you know, give attention to both. But, you know, spending that time, because I know USCCA has a lot of digital content as well, because I'm part of it. So they have a lot of digital content as well. So stuff that you can like practice at the home. But then also getting, you know, with someone like yourself in an actual classroom actually makes a world of difference. Even the CCW class that you did, just kind of like walking through the different statutes or whatever of like what the legal jargon is saying about gun ownership, carrying, stuff like that, being able to talk that out in a situation where you're not just at home like, I guess I'll Google this term or something like that. You have someone there to say, oh, well, this means this. And also with your background, it kind of illuminates so much stuff that normally you'd be in the dark about.
Right. And that's again goes back to the education portion, because we have seen over the years that our community don't have the education they should have when it comes to these things. All we know is, you have the right to self-defense. Okay, but where does your right to self-defense begin and where does it end?
Yeah.
That makes the difference of if you go to jail for the rest of your life, or if you, that was a justified shooting. You did what you were supposed to do. Hey, get out of my courtroom, go get your gun, go back home. You're good. You know, people have to learn the differences between those things.
Yeah, especially since we're in California, where it seems to be more stringent, because I saw a case in Florida earlier this year. This guy unfortunately was living on the street. You know, you don't want to live in your car, but a guy tried to break into his car. He broke into his car. The guy, of course, he's sleeping there. I believe he was sleeping there with his daughter, and he was sleeping there. The guy shot him. It was that afternoon, and the dude was already back. Like the dude, like, I don't think that's going to happen.
Stand your ground. Stand your ground is a big thing.
But he was back at home that afternoon to talk on the news and get back in his car. Like, I don't think that's happening in Cali. It's a little different. But in Florida,
I remember it was just like,
that story, he tried to break in. He had a knife. I shot him. The end. Like that. And that was pretty much it. That was the story. And I was just like, oh, he's not in jail? Yeah, Florida's different.
Yeah, Florida's a different beast, man. It's definitely a different beast. But you know what? I hate to say it. That's how it should be, man. If you are defending yourself and the life of your loved ones, if it's a clear-cut case of self-defense, why are we having a further conversation about this?
Yeah.
You broke
Why?
into
Why is there
somebody's
kind of like
house,
runaround?
right? With the intent to harm them. Why are we having a further conversation?
Yeah. Now I do have a question from the chat, and I guess we can only speak, or he can only speak for Cali or maybe a couple of states. But Evan says, "Can a private business supply security with firearms?" And I'll leave that to you.
Yes and no. Yes and no, depending upon the type of business. So if it is a business that is a security company, absolutely no problem. Now, if you say you have a liquor store or grocery store or something like that, you can provide a firearm for protection, but you also have to provide them with training prior to access to said weapon in order for your liability to be mitigated.
Okay. Because I mean, like you said, I'd assume so, because if you're a security company, it's kind of like when they provide you with a computer. This is like, you need this. That's your
Right.
job. Like, unless you one of those security people, man, God bless y'all. They just got like a flashlight and like some mace. Man, look, because it's getting crazy out there. So
Yep.
God bless y'all, because I mean, but I do know there's a lot of people that at least have the what's the company? It's like Burner that has like these pepper ball guns or something like that.
Yeah.
So I guess that's like
Burner
a
is it.
midpoint where you they're not specifically a firearm, so you kind of get a slight loophole, I guess. So I mean, I guess the security guards could use that, maybe.
Depends upon if they have the right. So this is the weird thing, especially here in California. If you
Mhm.
don't have a pepper spray certification,
Hold up, what?
burner it. Yeah. So
You
as
have to have a
security,
certification for pepper spray?
if you, yeah, if you're working security, you have to have a license for baton. You have to have a license for taser. You have to have a license for pepper spray. So you have to
Wow.
have all of those different things. But as a private citizen, you don't need those.
Oh,
You
okay,
can
okay.
buy everything but a baton. You can buy off the shelf. So
Okay,
as
okay.
security, you have to have the licenses to carry the burner. So because those shoot
Wow.
pepper balls, they shoot pepper gel, they shoot rubber non-lethal. So you have to have a license to carry those as security. But as an everyday Joe Blow citizen, you don't.
Interesting. That's what would the pepper spray class can't be, but what about 20 minutes? I mean, have you used spray
Um,
paint before? Yes. Same thing.
Honestly,
Have you
it's
used
about a
Pam?
day.
Like, just point it and spray it, man. Aim for the eyes.
Listen, I don't make the curriculum, but it's about a day for that class.
Wow.
hmm
Well, I've had a great time. Thanks for coming through. Are there any final thoughts that you have, especially for people in California, when you have articles like, "Is California ready for Black people to have guns?"
Lord,
Oh,
I'm so
why
disappointed
we
with the
always
times on that one. I'm
pathologize?
like, what is this?
Why is crime pathologized to us? We're not pathologizing like mass shooters to white boys, but like then you got like, come on, man. What are you ready for? It's like, I mean, what do you think? Do you think we just like all like just running around? You think this is the Wild West?
Listen, let me tell you, when I first saw that, I was thinking to myself, we've been carrying guns. What are you talking about? Where y'all been? It's just like, come on now. Like, we got more legal gun owners that are African American, Black, Puerto Rican, Brown, you name it, than the law. Like you can't even fathom. But this is what you were able to get approved by the editors as a headline. Where are you trying to go with this?
Yeah, that was wild. But any final thoughts? Do you have any final thoughts on the laws, whether it's federal down to state, anything in mind?
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to state laws, folks, we've got to take better account for what we allow to get passed. We have got to put people in place that are going to have your self defense your ability to protect you and your family in a place that you can actually do that without all of the silly restrictions. Okay. I am very much so for everybody to be able to protect themselves one way or the other. But the bottom line is we are literally handing our rights away by not speaking up and saying something about all the dirty, nasty laws that are coming into effect that you don't even have a clue are coming to effect. Okay. We have to speak up. You, as a legal, law-abiding citizen, could be carrying legal by walking across the street, but as soon as you cross that street, you could then become a felon and not even know it, because we are letting laws that don't make sense pass here in California. So we need to speak up about it. We need to do our due diligence and research. We need to read these laws and know what they're hiding within the bills, because a lot of this stuff is being hidden within other bills. And then when it comes down to it, you got to make sure that you pay attention to what's being said. And like I say in all of my classes, don't look at the glass, look through the glass to what's actually not being said. Don't pay so much attention to what's being said, but listen to what's not being said. That'll give you more insight.
Good point. Good point. All right. Well, of course, thank you for coming through. Cheryl says, yeah, fight for your two-way rights, because it, you know, like we were saying, like the people that they're writing laws to stop, they don't care about laws anyway. So
that's why they're criminals.
that's why they're criminals. Because they don't care about the law. So like I get the process in your mind. I'm like, oh, I get what you're thinking, but they're not paying attention to you anyway. So tell people where they can find you. Of course, physically in the store and also online.
Absolutely. So you can reach us online at redstonefirearms.com. Same for Instagram, Redstone Firearms and Redstone Jonathan. So it's two different Instagrams. We have a backup page. IG censors us a lot. So Redstone Jonathan and Redstone Firearms. And if you like our merchandise and patches and pins and all that good stuff, reach out to us at Redstone Creative on IG, and we'll get you taken care of there. Our physical address is 916 West Burbank Boulevard, Suite X. We're on the second floor, right above the soccer store. And our phone number is 323-440-1114. And if you have questions, concerns, or about anything, hit us up. That's what we're here for. We're here for the community. We're here to educate and train.
What up, what up? And I'm going to go in and put that link to the IG in the chat right now. So if you don't know, you can now follow them, get all the information and all that good stuff, because they got great content in general, but of course the education component is something that I think is just awesome. With that said, shouts out to Lady Lisa, Cheryl, Danik, Evan, Jenna James, Redstone Firearms, of course, in the chat. That's cool. And you I guess you ready to go, right? Yeah. I know. So I say bye, all y'all. All right. So
I appreciate you having us on.
Yes, NERD, SOU, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, podcast, all that jazz. Like, subscribe, share, all that. If you know someone who's interested, if you know someone, especially in Cali or the LA metro area or whatever, tell them, check out this video, holla at Redstone. They're awesome, great people there, and it's super cool. And until next time, from us to you, which will be probably tomorrow, talking about Dragon Ball Superhero. Until then, we got some black comics and some dope beats. Peace. You want to give them? You want to go and close out? You want to close out? All right, hold up. Don't do it yet. Don't do it. All right, say
You got to know there is the people in the past. You will remain in the past. Can I get a fucking
Good day, gentlemen. This is a pre-recorded briefing made prior to your departure, in which, for security reasons of the highest importance, has been known on board during the mission. Now that you are in Jupiter's space, and the entire crew is revived, it can be told you. 18 months ago, the first evidence of intelligent life off the Earth was discovered. It was buried 40 feet below the lunar surface, near the crater Patron. Except for a single, very powerful radio emission aimed at Jupiter, the 4-million-year-old black monolith has remained completely inert. Its origin and purpose still a total mystery.
No question about it.
I'm the man, yes sir, that killed the bear barehanded so the people won't forget it. Getting money for I was legal to drink. I care what a broke nigga think.
Just like the pack of Lewis.
Look, everything I do so cold. I can do this, both eyes closed. Too short, I stay on my toes. About that guap boy, anything goes. Help the bear if we outside. Help the bear if we outside. Still tipping, baby, nothing changed. I'm still grinding over here, yeah. Still sliding through my own lane. Shorty, nothing funny over here. Dollars rain everywhere around me. Dream to get money. Made it through the storm, living sunny. Dreams came true, now we eating. I got more dreams to chase, gotta reach them. Trying to put a team together like the Hunger Games. Everybody grinding cause we all came from Hunger Games.
You got to know that if you keep dwelling in the past, you will.
Finish him off! If you can't do it, then maybe you should let someone who can.